So this is a video about how many freaking things I have done incorrectly, done wrong. How many things I've messed up. I call it taking imperfect action despite the very consistent screw-ups. It has served me well. So let me give you some examples before I do that. If you're enjoying this and getting something out of this and you're trying to build a business and you think real estate is badass, because it is, then let's go on this journey together. Give me one of those, maybe one of those. Screw up number one is that I forgot my freaking boots today. I meant to grab them on the way out the door, and I'm ruining my tennis shoes. There you go. My name is Brian Bandas. I'm building a real estate development company. I'm becoming a better father, a better husband, a better entrepreneur, and a better man every single day. Let's get it. Actions that were imperfect, that led to mistakes and that didn't go right, have led me here to a place where, frankly, things are going well. And in spite of those mistakes, I feel successful. And I'm continuing to grow this company and experience more and more success and more fulfillment. So screw up number one is one of the first rentals I bought when I was desperate to get anything going. I was calling Craigslist, asking for sale by owners if they would do seller finance, because I couldn't get a loan, didn't have much money for a down payment. I think I offered this guy, $1,000 down or something if he would basically seller finance for a year. So we don't need to get in the nuts and bolts of that. Here's the point. I bought this because I thought there was going to be cash flow. And because it was seller finance, it didn't occur to me that it wasn't a bank. And so they weren't rolling my taxes and insurance into this payment. So I did my math. I have my payment. I'm going to make $400 a month in cash flow. All of a sudden I get to closing and they go, okay, and how are you going to pay for your taxes and your insurance? I'm like, oh my gosh. And all of a sudden, $250 out of $400 a month of cash flow is gone. And so I screw this thing up. But let me tell you what the silver lining was. I bought it, didn't have the cash flow I thought. I took what was clearly very imperfect action, and then I sold it, I don't know what it was, maybe 15 months later, for a $90,000 appreciation. I did a little bit of work to it. We're talking a few $1,000s of work, and made $90,000 off of that one. And at that time in my life in particular, that was a freaking fortune. That was absolutely life-changing for my wife and I. So that is example number one of taking imperfect action. And had I not had the courage to take action, had I gotten hung up on wanting to make sure everything was perfect, or wait until I know more, wait until everything is dialed in, I would have not done it, and I wouldn't have experienced the growth. I wouldn't have learned that lesson. I never made that mistake again, right? And I wouldn't have made that money. All right, so screw up number two was the first house I bought. It was not intended to be an investment. In fact, I wasn't to a place where I felt like I could invest in real estate. That was still too intimidating. But it was my first house for my wife and I. And shortly after we bought it, we had to move out. We couldn't pay the mortgage. And it was shortly after I left Love and Theft, and nothing sort of panned out the way I wanted. And so here I end up with a house that I can't afford. Thank God, not knowing what I was doing, I decided to put renters in it. And again, did it totally imperfectly, charged way too little, undercharged my first tenant, could have made a lot more money. The lease I used, who knows what piece of crap that was. I'm sure it wasn't right. So much was done wrong, but I took imperfect action, and it got me into real estate investing. And it was from that experience when I got that first rent check, and I went, oh my gosh, like this can work. It was eye-opening. So the thing for me has been like, take imperfect action, do my best, which is not perfect, and see where it leads me. All right, so screw up number three. Oh, this might be the worst one. This was the third house that I tried to flip. All right, and this was outside Franklin, and I lost $55,000 on it. I totally underestimated what it would cost to do the work, totally overestimated what this house would sell for, totally underestimated how much buyers would care about a couple attributes of this house, and I lost 55 grand. And to top it off, on the way out, I'm moving the old stove out. This is literally on the last day. The house is sold finally I'm done with this thing, which has just crushed my soul. And I'm taking the old stove out and range out, and it tips over and the tempered glass shatters in the yard. And the new buyers are like 2 hours away. And so I'm literally, having lost 55 grand, down on my hands and knees in the grass, picking up shards of glass with my bare hands, bleeding all over. This thing literally bled me of money and my actual blood. But let me tell you what I got out of that. I got two big things. Number one, I discovered that flipping houses just was not my passion. And one of the ways I knew that was I put up with a lot of crap with my building, but I'm okay with it because I love this. I love what I'm doing. And with that, I had that feeling of like, man, this isn't worth it. But even more importantly, I figured out, oh, I'm okay. I just lost a bunch of money. I just got my ass kicked and I'm okay. I survived. And just learning, like, the power of these screw ups is that you learn that you can screw up and survive. And now I'm going to tell you, I'm not really that scared of screw ups anymore. I'm not that scared of failure. I've been through it, man. I got smoked before and I'm okay. I'm not only okay, I'm thriving and life is good. And so now I can move forward with courage and confidence, knowing that when I inevitably mess up again, because I'm human, when that happens, I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna keep rolling. That's number 3. All right, so mistake number 4, I bought this rental property that was outside of town. I inherited all the tenants. I inherited the property manager, and it was miserable and it went terribly. I lost money. At one point, a guy abandoned his apartment and left his dog there for weeks. I didn't know. When I went, the dog was in bad shape and I left like crawling from head to toe with fleas. But again, I was able to learn some things and do better on the next rental that I had, where I knew that I wasn't willing to take on certain types of tenants, take on property managers that I didn't know. It was another opportunity to take imperfect action and yet learn. And now I'm better at what I do because of that. All right, screw up number 5. This is a good one. This is my second or third house I tried to flip. It was a trailer. It was on a permanent foundation, but it was like a manufactured home on a permanent foundation. And I got the flip done. It was ready to sell. I got it under contract, and we got close to closing. And they basically asked for what amounts to the license plate. You have to, when these are made, they have a registration like a vehicle, right? Because they're mobile. And then you have to go through this process where you, through title, you turn it into a permanent home from a vehicle, essentially. And so I had to find this license plate. And I didn't know about this, so I didn't ask for it when I bought it. And I couldn't find it. Crawled around in the crawl space, which was nasty, trying to find it. They're like, well, it could be somewhere on the structure, on the steel structure. Climbing around. Finally, this is beautiful. I put together this monthly real estate investor meetup. And on the first one, I sat down next to this guy. I said, hey, I'm Brian. What are you working on? Da, da, da. I said, oh man, here's what I'm working on. I got this trailer and it's ready to sell. Like I would make money if I could close, and I can't sell it. Here's the problem. He goes, man, I had that a couple years ago and I pulled the siding off of down at the end of it and I found it. I'm like, no way. I went out the next day, pulled the siding off the end where he said, and there it was. And I was doing backflips. And in fact, here's a clip of me when I discovered that. What is up? It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon, and I have to share an experience with you guys, okay? Most people do not try things because they are scared that something will go wrong. Well, here's the great news. You don't have to be worried about that. It's a guarantee. Something's gonna go wrong if you're trying to do something that you haven't done before. You're trying to learn, you're trying to grow, you're trying to accomplish things that you have not accomplished, right? You're trying to climb a mountain that you've never been to the top of. You know what? You're gonna find stuff along the way that you didn't know was there because you've never been there before. So most people take that to mean, I better not try it because I might fail, I might experience that discomfort. For me, what I try to do is embrace the inevitability, knowing that those obstacles and that failure isn't going to amount to ultimate failure. Those are going to add up ultimately to my success. So let me tell you about my Sunday afternoon. I'm out here. I've told you all about my house that this is my first flip ever. I've told you about it. And everything was going awesome. It's my first flip, and my renovation numbers were great, and my market like resale numbers were great, and I got multiple offers. Great, I'm moving along, awesome. So proud of myself, and then bam, title problems. Shocker. And so I've been dealing with this for about 2 weeks. Like basically these people are ready to buy this house if I can just figure the title thing out. I have crawled through the crawl space trying to find this identifying plate on this. I have looked high and low. So finally today I come out, I start pulling siding off the side of this thing, and I found it. Here she is, found her. So here is my message to you. You will encounter challenges. You will experience failure. If you don't, it's not because you're so great, it's because you're not pushing yourself. You need to embrace that it is inevitable and that those failures will add up ultimately to massive success. It is the people who aren't willing to fail who never experience that success. Victory. So obviously I was pretty happy and made, I didn't make a fortune, but I made some money on that flip. But I did not know about that, and now I do. Every single time I take imperfect action, what happens is I get better at what I'm doing. I get more confident in myself. I know more than I did before. Even on the occasions that I lost money, it has benefited me in my journey. And so I've tried to just make it a habit to say, I'm taking action, I'm moving forward. I don't take it foolishly. I do as much due diligence as I can, and I try to be smart. I don't like to lose money. I try to avoid that. And thankfully it has only happened a couple times. But I don't let the fear of the unknown keep me from moving forward. And I don't let the need for everything to be perfect or to feel like I have every single answer keep me from moving forward. You got to take imperfect action, and over time it adds up to progress. It averages out to a massive amount of personal growth and business growth. All right, so I hope you're sensing a theme here. The theme is I try stuff that I don't know everything, I can't do perfectly, I mess it up, and somehow it still leads eventually to success because it causes me to grow, learn things, even if it's the hard way. And I gotta pause for a second because big boy's rolling through here. All right, unpause. The point is, if I waited for perfection, if I waited to have all the answers and know that nothing would go wrong, I'd still be stuck at square one. I wouldn't get anywhere. So let me tell you the things I'm doing now to take imperfect action forward. I launched a course called Deal Architect that you guys have heard me talk about. I actually just finished writing a short book about real estate development, which I'm gonna be putting out here in a couple weeks or a month or so. I've contracted a mixed-use development, which I mentioned on a recent video, that is a project of a size and type of construction that I haven't done before. I'm continuing to try things that I haven't done before. Oh, and the last one is I am talking with a gentleman about putting my first fund together, a general fund rather than raising investor funds per project. All these things are new. All of them have unanswered questions for me. All of them make me a little bit nervous. But the worst thing that can happen is I fail and I learn something and my confidence grows because I survived that failure and I realize it's okay. And I just become better and stronger and better and stronger and smarter. It's just a process. And what people don't understand is they think that failure is the end and that's a disaster, when really it's a key to me getting better and stronger and smarter and more experienced and more confident. The failure is the freaking secret sauce. That's all I got for you guys. I love sharing this with you. Thank you for joining me. Tell your friends about it if you're getting something out of it. Perils of a job site. All right, so I'm back in the office. Here's the theme. I hope you're getting it somehow. All of those, that string of imperfection and that string of screw ups, some of them pretty big mistakes. I mean, one of them I lost $55,000. That somehow led me here. I'm experiencing success and continued growth, and I'm building this company and experiencing abundance that I would say in my younger life I only hoped for. The point is, regardless of how imperfect that action was, every time I took action, it was leading me closer to success and to victory. And that's what I want you to hear. And that's what I want anybody watching this to do. Take imperfect action. You do not have to know everything. You don't have to win every single time. I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to win every single time. But you don't have to win every single time to still find yourself down this path that is leading you to your version of victory, right? And your version of greatness. For me, every single one of those failures that I described ultimately has added up to me being in the right place and doing the right thing. It was all integral to me discovering what I need to be doing and discovering how to do it, identifying what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, and starting to zero in on like how to use those. I have found myself now in a scenario where I have 100% confidence that I'm doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing it well. I'm having a great time. I'm making better money than I used to even daydream about, all while doing something that is immensely fulfilling. But I had this idea and I called it the action opportunity cycle. And it was that, man, somehow every time I take action, opportunity comes out of it. It's rarely that direct. There's this cycle that happens where I take a little bit of action, this really imperfect action, but some little piece of opportunity comes out. Maybe it's a new introduction to someone, a new relationship. Maybe I learn something. Maybe it's the hard way and I lose money or whatever. But every single one of those things adds up to me getting closer to being who I'm meant to be and where I'm supposed to be. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to take imperfect action. That's the secret sauce, baby. That's the magic. The magic is just do stuff. Congrats. Now you know it. That's the magic pill. Do stuff. Try stuff. Be okay with possibly failing. And if you, like me, are trying to build something and you're enjoying following along this journey with me, then do me a favor, because every single week on a Thursday, I'm going to put out a video just like this one, talking about the various things that I'm dealing with and contending with and learning as I build this real estate development company from nothing up to a $10 million per year company. And I'm on that journey now and I'm seeing growth and it's exciting. Sometimes we're going to be talking about mindset like we are this week. Other times we're going to be talking about some of the nuts and bolts of deal evaluation and real estate development, or building a business, knowing how and when to hire, how to handle budgets and expenses, some of those nuts and bolts. So if that's the kind of thing that is going to enrich your life and make you a better person, a better business person, and get you excited about the just massive amount of opportunity out there, then I would love for you to give me one of these and one of those and one of those and join me on that journey. See you next time.